When you stop your motorcycle, that's how I want you to be. Or like that. That's it. Everything else is unacceptable to you. That's the mindset I want you to have. If I stop my motorcycle and there's anything other than my foot coming down like this, unacceptable. And I say that because what keeps the bike up at slow speeds? Okay, so if I'm coming to a stop and I get to that very slow speed, if I'm coming to a stop like this, what does that mean? That's right. The bike's falling at that point. Because remember, we're on two wheels. Once we get to like 2 miles per hour, yeah, it wants to fall. How relevant is your balance at slow speeds?
Slow speeds?
Like 2 miles per hour. Have you ever put a number? 100 a lot, 0 a little.
My balance?
Yes. How relevant is it?
3.
100 to
100.
0 to 100. 3?
Oh, 100.
100. What do you say?
I don't think it's very relevant
Why?
because the bike is going to want to fall regardless because of gravity. So it doesn't matter what your balance is.
Okay.
It just wants to
Okay.
fall.
I like your answer better. How about, what do you think, Tiff? It don't matter? The balance doesn't matter? Dan? Not at all. Because we already talked about what keeps it up. Sufficient power to the rear wheel. So our balance is irrelevant while we're moving. Now, if you're doing one of these things where you're coming to a stop, a complete stop, then yeah, now you're using some balance. But once that bike's moving, I mean, as soon as it's moving, your balance is not required, which means your feet are not required. So if I'm coming to a stop and I start feeling, uh-oh, I need to introduce what keeps the bike up, right? So I have to go back into the friction zone a little bit. But at the same time, I'm applying the rear brake. Rear brake, rear brake. I'm in that friction zone sometimes all the way until I stop. I put my foot down, then I pull my clutch in. That way the bike, because I'm letting you know, guys, anytime you stop today and you feel this, you were not in the friction zone at all or enough. That's why I say sufficient. And so we got to do based on what we feel. If you don't feel any falling, then you don't need the friction zone. You can come to a smooth stop. Sometimes that works out. In fact, most of the time it does. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the road is kind of like this. I know one spot in particular is a stop sign. I know at that stop, I have to stop in the friction zone because at 2 miles per hour, anything like this is going to make the bike want to fall, right? So that's why people that are coming to a stop and throw the bike in neutral before they even stop, they got nothing. So that's the coin rolling across the table, right? All right, and again, sometimes that's going to work. But what they do is they're going to let that bike roll until it feels like it's going to fall. And for them, falling equals time to stop. Front brake, feet out, boom. When you stop today, I already told you how I want your foot to come down. I'm looking at your front suspension, unless something's wrong with your shocks. I'm looking for very little compression. If I see this, no good. It's got to be smooth. We got to be sticklers today. We're training, right? That's your goal. It's not going to always happen, but that's your goal.